Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be showing y'all one of the best carp rigs that I know of. It's called a hair rig, and I'm going to show you how to tie it. And if you don't want to use fake corn, you can use real corn too, the way I did it. So first, we're going to grab a hook. This isn't really the size hook that I would be using, but I'm just gonna get one because I already tied all my rigs. Let me find a nice little hook. This one here. So can y'all see that good? Nah, it's not big enough. Oh wait, I can just undo it. What am I saying? I can just use one of my good hooks. Yeah, I'm just gonna use one of my good hooks, but if you want to reuse your hook, it's really easy to do this knot, but it won't come undone while you're fishing with it. Okay, so we're gonna put our hook in the vise. Usually you do this in your hands. I'm just doing this so you can see it better. So now I'm gonna grab some line. Grab about 1.5 feet, just to be safe. If you need to cut your line. And if you want it shorter, just cut it. Not that hard. I'm using 12-pound monofilament. Oh, okay. I dulled my scissors on accident. I was being stupid with fly tying. And I tried to cut metal wire because I was using a brush and I was lazy to go grab my scissors. So I tried to cut metal wires with my tying scissors like a dummy. So now I'm gonna do just an overhand loop. So if you know what a granny knot is, you make a loop, and then on top of that loop, you're just gonna do 2 granny knots, 2 or 3, and it'll secure that loop. You don't want. What are you doing? Making a video. Huh? Nah, you're fine. And then you're gonna make 2 overhand knots. Secure it. Oh God, I messed it up. It's fine, you can just redo it. So you're gonna you're gonna make a loop. Take back what I said. You're gonna make a loop, and you're gonna use that loop to tie a single granny knot. Loop, tie a granny knot using the loop instead of like just one piece of line. Use the loop. You're gonna stick it through the hole. What in the world? Okay, try it again. Stick it through that hole. One time I'm making a video that wants to be a pain in the butt. Okay, there we go. So it should look like this whenever you're done doing that part. And then now you're gonna just make the loop about that size. Now you're going to do the 2 overhand knots. I mean the 2 granny knots. Whatever you want to call them. But you have to hold your loop so it doesn't get any tighter because this loop slips a little bit. That's why we're doing these 2 extra knots so it doesn't slip. Bigger again. Once you get the first granny knot in, it'll be a little bit easier for the second one. Now, you see how you want to trim your shorter side of that loop. You see how I just have this little bit of line compared to this long line? You want to trim the little part off away from that loop so it's not just sitting there. So I'm going to trim off the smaller one, smaller side, like that. Well, you want to get it a little bit better. You want to get it pretty close down. So you're going to cut off that. Now, we actually get into the hook. So you got your loop, right? But you can tie your loop however you want. Whatever method you prefer, but that's the one that I use. Now, you're going to stick your piece of line from the back of the hook into the eye. Like that. Now you're going to pull it until that loop is just below your hook. Like right there. You see how my loop is just below my hook? It's because whenever you're done and you put on that piece of foam, it's gonna float up like this. It's gonna be going up about that much. You want that because it'll stick out from the rest of your corn. Now you're gonna wrap back around the hook shank with your long piece of line 7 or 8 times and trap that other piece of line. Now you're going to stick it back through the back side, or no, through the front. This time you stick it through the front side of the hook. Like that. Alright. Now tighten that up. And look at that knot. You see how pretty that looks? It's probably my best one I've done yet. It looks good too. It's not just that's a really good knot right there. And now, I've got this long piece right here. You're usually going to tie a swivel on this, but I'm kind of out of swivels. So, on this end, you're going to tie on a swivel, but I don't have a swivel right now. So, just leave that there. Now, we're going to take this. Now, we're going to grab a piece of orange or yellow foam to match the color of the corn. And you're going to cut just a little cube. Or you can, if you want to get fancy with it, you can try and cut it in the shape of a curl. But look, just that little size of your fingernail. Like not even the size of your fingernail. Just like that. And before you take it out fishing, you can test it in your sink. And if your piece of foam is too big where your hook will float, you don't want your hook to float. You just want your line to float up, not your hook. So if your hook is floating up, trim your piece of foam to make it a little bit smaller. So now I'm going to grab a needle real quick, but you can use something else, but I like to use an old needle. So I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to make a little hole in the middle. You might have to stick it through a few times because the foam kind of closes back in on itself. Because you want a decent hole, so you can fit your loop through here, because that's what you're gonna have to do. You could just buy a rig, but I like making them. It's cheaper. I don't have that much money. Kind of broke. So you're just going to keep sticking it through there until it stays open. There we go. See, I got my little hole in the middle. Now, we're going to take our loop here, and you want to fold it so it gets like smaller. Like not smaller, but like it gets skinnier. So it's easier to stick it through there. So you're just going to pinch it and stick it right through that hole you just made. Now, you're going to wrap this around the piece of foam. Go around the edges. And you should know how to do this. But yeah, so you just you do like a you just wrap it around that piece of foam after you stick it through the loop, and then you're gonna tighten it down like that. Now you got your foam attached. So now you're done. Really, you're done. That's all you have to do. You got your piece of foam that's gonna float it up. But you get tie on spool, but I'm out, like I said. So once you tie on spool, you're done. So what you're gonna do for the corn is you can either buy like a special needle that's made for this, or you can use a real needle. So what I like to do is you stick a piece of corn on the needle, like on a real needle, and you're gonna and then you're gonna you see how there's a hole right there? You stick your loop into that, then you slide your corn over your line, and you put like 3 or 4 pieces on your line. Then you attach your piece of foam, and then you're done. You just cast it on out there. You're probably gonna want to add a weight with this though, like before this rig, because you gotta be able to cast it out there. All right, let's go test it out in the sink, guys. Let's see how it does. I'm gonna bring y'all with me. So now, I'm gonna fill up my sink with water. Alright, 1 second. Alright, I put my camera on so y'all can see. Alright, so we turn off the sink. So now look, you see how it's floating up away from the hook? So the carp's gonna come in like this. He's gonna suck on that, then he's gonna suck it all the way in. He's gonna get that hook, and then you set the hook. So you see how that floats off the bottom a little bit? It's so it doesn't just sit with the rest of your bait. It makes it stand out to the fish. And so that'll be like the first one they're gonna come after, because it's the easiest to grab. So they're gonna come like this, grab it, and then you set that hook, just like that. You see how it just floats up like that? That's just what you want. Your hook stays on the bottom, and your foam floats up, just like that's just like you want it. All right, well, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.